All right, so I'm starting to wonder. Like a lot of us are, you hear me talk about this a lot. Where we're born in 78, 79, and we felt a certain way about how people older than us treated us. You know, like they didn't quite reach back for it enough for us, didn't teach us enough, didn't show us all of the struggles the way that we felt they should. Because once we got there, we know what to do. And so I think we have, as 78, 79 born, you know, we're 40 years old now. We've made an effort to try and cultivate those that are directly behind us, like 20-year-olds, 25, 26, 30-year-olds. We're like, you know, we're trying to bring them up. We're trying to give them confidence. I have a sneaky suspicion that we actually make them soft. Like, they seem a lot less hard than we were and not up to the challenges, because this is a fucking hard world right now. Like, this is not the promise that we were offered, where it's like, oh, after the information age happens and we're all connected, things will be, you know, you're so educated and everything's going to be much better than it was before. This is actually much worse than we were advertised. And I think that a lot of these kids aren't handling it all that well. For example, when I was a kid, if there was something disturbing on television, they would do this thing called a viewer discretion advised warning.
Okay.
Where they would say, like, you know, hey, this might have a little bit of sexual situation or profanity or a situation where, you know, adult type situations. So viewer discretion is advised. And that means be aware of who's watching it. And then after this is over, talk to them about it so that they don't worry or they are asked questions and so on and so forth. I thought that was a very responsible way of handling it.
Okay.
Now we have these things called trigger warnings. And what a trigger warning is that this media contains violence, this media contains blood, this media contains, you know, assault, or anything disturbing. And rather than say, okay, after you watch this, discuss it, say, okay, this is a trigger warning, avoid it.
Right.
You know, just block it. Instagram's real bad about it. Like, you know, anything that somebody says, hey, I got triggered this, Instagram would immediately put up a filter on it where it won't show up unless you specifically ask for it. And a lot of people think this is a good thing because it's like, okay, now you can decide what it is that you want and you can go through your life without being disturbed. I think that's a bad thing. Because I think it's a bad thing because now, instead of having to face those things that scare you, you're just hiding in the dark from it. It doesn't go away, guys. It's still there. Like I saw a post with a trigger warning on it. I selected the post to look at it on Instagram, and it was a guy cleaning prawns. Dead prawns. He just cleaned them, just deveined them. And that had a trigger warning on it.
Okay.
Like, are you afraid of shellfish? Are you feeling bad for food? I mean, it's not a living thing. It was a piece of food. But we're in a situation where people, if they feel disturbed at any level, they also feel, I guess, entitled to not be exposed to it at all. And I think that's a bad precedent. I think the effect is not what we had hoped it was going to be. I don't think that we're making them. I don't think that the children per se are learning more from it. I think they're just getting softer, getting easier to scare off of their chosen path. We'll talk about this a little bit more maybe. This is Tattoo with Children. I'm in seat A, Flavor Ray. Over here across from me in seat B is my gangster partner in crime, the Dread Pirate Benjamin.
What's up?
And over here, we got the CI. Oh, no, he's not here. Mike Payne. Unfortunately, he's not here. He's on vacation. I don't begrudge Mike his vacation. I don't feel abandoned. I don't cry in the middle of the night into a pillow softly because my sound guy's not here. That doesn't happen. Anyway, moving on.
CIO No Pain. That might be the best name you've come up with. CIO No Pain.
Wow. That was by accident, too.
Yeah, I know. That's probably the reason it's going to work. CIO, no pain. And it does stand to reason that we should name him when he's gone.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Fuck him for taking a vacation.
It's true, straight up. I think it's interesting, like that you kind of chose to start off with that idea of where we're at, and you know, as we get better and better. Well, let's not say better and better.
Yeah, let's not say better.
As we get more experience with these conversations.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how we develop. I know some of the feedback I've gotten from people has been about the idea of us having a better flow and a better rhythm, and that's something that you and I both want.
Sure.
But let me jump back into what you said for a minute, because you know, you and I came up in a very interesting time. I mean, 1988, 1989. We're talking about being 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, we're coming off of we're coming off of late '80s. We're coming off of the cocaine binge.
Well, and
we're getting into a really hard sort of crack binge.
Yeah, but we're also coming off of not a lot of hope.
Yeah.
The Cold War had been over, supposedly.
Right.
And it was a really weird place to be. Like, I remember hearing my parents talk about jobs.
Right.
Like, as if they were scarce.
As if they were a thing that was almost going to be mythical by the time I was looking for one.
Right. I remember, you know, really, really, like, budgeting for food.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like, hey, you know, you really need to clean your shoes off when you come in, because that's the only pair you're getting until next May.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like April, you know, and you're like, hold up, wait, what? I'm not going to get new shoes for a year? Like, I'm growing. Like,
I remember going over to like my friend's house or my close relative's house, and my mother getting very upset if I ate anything.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, they might not have enough. Like, well, they offered. Said, well, they're being polite, but you don't have to take it.
Right.
And I'm a kid, and I'm hungry all the time as a kid.
Right.
I didn't get that because I also didn't understand that big block of cheese that came in the plain brown box was from the government. That didn't hit me at all until much later.
Dude, that was the best fucking cheese, though.
It is still the best cheese.
It was the best cheese ever. I miss all the government things.
The government peanut butter, man. Oh god, that peanut butter was so good.
Yeah, and you got to walk away from the you know, all the rich people aisle. You know, like Jiffy, we ain't never heard of that.
Right.
And like, you got to go to the government aisle because that shit's cheap.
Yeah.
And but damn, man, you can eat cheese for days.
It was such high quality.
Like, we love cheese.
Here's the thing, guys. Like, even today, like, you know, I have a food blog. I cook all the time. I do food things. A lot of the time, like, I'll try and adjust a recipe that I learned using low quality ingredients and fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Because low quality ingredients per se are actually what's called for in these recipes.
Right.
Like, don't sleep, guys. Don't sleep on the cheap aisle. Like, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to eat.
Right. So, but here's what's weird is, so we're you know, the first recollection I have is that 88, 89. We're coming out of this really. It seemed like everything was gloomy then, which is funny to say from where we're from, like Texas, sunshine all the time.
Right.
But like, do you remember that?
I do remember.
It seemed to rain all the time.
I remember when my uncle was talking about Reagan. He said Reagan's an antichrist, and I was like, "What?"
Yes, I heard that too. And we grew up so different.
It's like, Reagan's an antichrist,
right?
Grandpa Reagan.
Right, like, yeah, but I remember hearing that too, and then you hear about like Jim Jones,
Yeah.
and it's not the Jim Jones they're thinking of, it's not the rapper,
Right. Yeah. It's not that Jim Jones. We're talking about the Reverend Jim Jones.
Yeah, we're talking about the guy with the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, who's like going from state to state, murdering people in the name of Jesus because the end is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, but here's what got weird. Is you jump ahead 4 or 5 years, 92, 93.
And things are great.
And all of a sudden, there's so much hope.
It was incredible.
Like, the sun came out. Everybody's talking about, like, well, you know, Ben, I could take this job, or I could take this job over here. And if we move an hour away, we could take 2 jobs. And there's still more jobs. If all of a sudden there was this economic, like, feeling of happiness.
And you know, the weird thing was it happened everywhere at once. It happened in the hood where it shouldn't happen.
Okay.
Because everyone is still poor. We're poor, but R. Kelly had just said he doesn't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
Right.
And everyone went, you know what? There's
Yeah.
probably not anything wrong with a little bump and grind.
Right.
Go ahead no, kids, go ahead and dance.
And I don't know if I'm right about my timeline here, but like shortly after that, I feel like Jurassic Park came out.
I think, yeah, you're right. It was, Jurassic Park would have been like 94. Hold on, I gotta look that up.
And
I don't have my fucking phone. I don't have my phone.
Yeah, I'll go in there and get it in a sec. It's on the charger.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. Well, I'm gonna look it up. Okay, so think about that. Think about that movie for a second. First of all, it was off the charts different than anything that had been done in 10 years.
Yeah, it was the effects were incredible, and the cast was top notch.
And 1993.
93. Yeah.
93. Okay, so and the cast was top notch. It was the first feel good movie I had seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And it was done so well. Like, you felt like you were there, you were in it, that you didn't have any problem with it. It wasn't like Star Wars.
They had, like, kids in the movie that had shit to do. Like,
Right,
like
yeah.
they weren't just baggage, you
Right,
know?
right.
They were actually, like, a part of the movie.
Right, but from an adult's perspective, they're watching it going, hey, this is pretty amazing. Like, there's a dinosaur. And then as a kid, you're going like, dude, I play this game every day out in the woods. Like,
Exactly.
you know, and so there's this like Hollywood is coming up, jobs are coming up. Everybody's excited about this new thing called the internet, you know, like and Al Gore keeps telling us that he's making something for us called the internet.
And dude, I was at the time I was, you know, I was the nerdy kid on the outskirts of the hood, so I like got a computer and was like charging, like doing the long distance charging to try and get on the internet. So like, you know, the modem with the, you know, ding 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 ding, like all that shit.
Right. God, I miss
And
that
I would dial into these bulletin boards to, like, you know, look up nerdy shit.
Right.
And it was some like $30 a minute or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And just praying that I got to the bill before my mother got to it, so I could
Right.
try and blame my dad.
Right.
And it was such a odd time because the phone bill would be like $250,
Right.
and my mother literally let me do it every month.
Right.
Like, I didn't understand why then, and I really don't understand why now. She can probably tell me, I guess, if she remembers.
Well, and then I remember like going over to my friend's house, and we didn't associate with a whole lot of people, but like I remember when my friend got his first computer, and like, you know, had the 3 games that came with it. You know, it was back when the Macintosh was in a box.
Yeah.
You know, and it had the little tiny screen. And you could play like the paddleball game, you know, the old Atari style, you know, and then you had like Digger or something, you know.
Like in the past, Macintosh was like a specific computer. Like the company was Apple, and Macintosh was a specific, you know, thing.
Right. Yeah. And but then I remember like I'd go over to his house on like, I don't know, maybe my parents would go over there, let me go over there on like a Friday or a Saturday. and all his friends would be there, and they'd be there playing the Nintendo or something, right?
Right.
And they'd always ask me to play, but I'd never seen this stuff before.
Right.
So I would just watch.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and they would be like, no, come in. Like we don't want to be bullies. Like, we want you to play. And I'd be like, nah, man, like, I'm being entertained. Like, just let me watch. Like, I haven't figured out what you're doing yet.
Yeah, I didn't get one of those things either. Like, I didn't get a Nintendo for a long time. And so my friends had them. And so I would, like, come over, like, play Punch-Out or something.
Yeah.
Like, and just get my ass kicked.
Right.
And be like, you know, they're all, like, frustrated and things if they can't beat this, like, you know, King Hippo or whatever boss we were stuck on.
Yeah.
And I'm just thrilled to be moving shit on the screen.
Right.
So I'm just glad.
Do you remember? But then think about how fast the technology went. Do you remember Descent? The game Descent?
I do remember Descent.
Like, you felt like like all of a sudden you were Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Like, this computer had a game that was like 3-dimensional, and you'd like fly around a corner, and these like fucking robot alien dudes would fly out at you, and you'd have to shoot them down. It's super hard, and there's like there was dimension to it though.
Yeah.
You could fly past them.
Yes.
You could leave them on a chase.
You could turn to the left and see them, and then turn away from them.
Right.
That was, and I didn't think about how the technology was struggling at the time.
Right.
To render such a thing.
Right.
Like it was a magical time, people. Like in these, and I think it was the effect of that was we honestly believed like this is 95 at this point, and you're believing that in 5 more years everything's fixed.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even talked about sports yet.
No, we haven't.
So, like, this is the height of baseball.
So, oh, God.
Like, you remember Nolan Ryan?
Yes.
Like, Nolan Ryan goes out there on the mound, and all anyone in Texas can see is fucking John Wayne.
Oh, my God.
Like, and we all felt this collective, like, hey, we conned another team to coming in to face John Wayne. Like, watch this
That's
shit.
awesome.
This shit's going to be great, man.
This is nothing but strikeouts,
you know?
baby.
Yeah, and he goes out there, and what does he do? Like, he just fucking destroys just stands up there 90 feet and destroys everything that comes at Texas.
Nolan Ryan was, he was the shit. Like, he's the only white man that was my hero at that time.
Yeah,
and that's real,
right? And then, but then you just like you got fucking Pudge Rodriguez behind the mound, behind the plate.
Behind the plate,
that dude could throw out anybody like
from his knees.
Right, he wouldn't even get up. These catchers today, like they got this whole move where they like jump up and throw a guy out.
They pop up and throw over the pitcher's head. Pudge would do that from his knee. Like literally the pitcher, several times he would have to just drop and just get out of the way of that ball.
Right.
Not because he was trying to make sure that he made the cutoff, because he knew if he got hit with that ball, he was probably going to be hurt.
Yeah.
Pudge was throwing fast.
Yeah, it's like 90 miles an hour coming in. It's like 100 miles an hour going to second base.
Exactly.
And this motherfucker is on his knees. Like, I loved watching, I'm going to do it. I loved watching Kenny Lofton steal bases.
I loved watching Kenny Lofton steal bases. I loved watching Barry. You know, Barry Bonds used to be respected in baseball, people. Barry Bonds was the motherfucking man in baseball.
Can we talk about Ricky Henderson?
Ricky Henderson. Ken Griffey.
The hardest working dude.
Ricky Henderson, like... If you got a Ricky Henderson baseball card when you were a kid, you may as well, like, that was like free pussy, straight up. Like, everybody in your grade is like, this motherfucker's got Ricky Henderson. Like, I want to give him my lunch just so he'll shout me out. That was this is all stuff back in the day that was the great thing about it was it was still kind of innocent in a way. I'd hate to look back at my own life and think of myself ever as being innocent because I'm such a, degenerate piece of shit in general. But back in the day, I followed box scores.
Right.
And I knew every player on every team.
Oh, we would listen to the radio and fill out the little forms you get in the newspaper.
Yeah.
and follow along inning by inning.
Do they still have those?
They
don't
do don't.
They don't do that anymore.
This is Texas Ranger baseball, and if you're following along, we're in the third inning.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan has 7 strikeouts, and we've had 1 home run by Rafael Palmeiro.
And what you could do is, after you fill the whole thing out, you could replay the game in your head that night.
Yeah.
As you were going to sleep.
You
could just
or
replay
like
the whole game.
Or like as your dad's reading the Bible or some shit, as was my case.
Right.
You have marbles on the ground for all the players in their positions.
Right.
You've drawn a little thing on the floor. You
could recreate it.
And you recreate the whole game while he's talking about Jezebel or who the fuck ever that was the son of who gives a fuck ever. And I love my dad, and I love that part of the Bible, but.
Right.
But like now we're going to get on something that I talked to the ladies about a little earlier, because some of our clients are football fans.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a great tweet earlier. Some motherfucker.
This was great.
Some motherfucker.
This was so good.
This is going to be the title of this episode. CIO No Pain is motherfucker. So some motherfucker decided to say that Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback,
I'm sorry.
Mahomes, who has no home, this motherfucker has thrown 33% of Troy Aikman's touchdowns in only
36%.
Okay, 36% of Troy Aikman's touchdowns in 8% of the games.
So the implication being, well, this guy is much better throwing touchdowns than Troy Aikman.
Right. And then Troy Aikman comes back and tweets him and goes, he can talk to me. No, I'm just going to have to read it. I'm sorry. Like, I saw it earlier, and it's still...
I smell my fucking phone. I don't have my fucking phone.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I got it. I screenshotted it, and I reshared it, So here's Troy Aikman on Twitter. Hey, talk to me when he has 33% of my Super Bowl titles.
Ouch.
And so so the implication here, though, is that Troy Aikman is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, which he is, by the way.
Which he is.
I mean, I understand he may be a little brain dead now because he got hit so many times,
right.
But he still was a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes is now. But this is what people don't know if they didn't grow up in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Aikman had the biggest offensive line in the history of football.
I don't think there was anybody on that offensive line shorter than 6'4".
You're correct, because I looked it up earlier.
Okay.
Also, and this cracked me straight the fuck up, they apparently all weighed in at 324.
Really?
Ray, you grew up in this era.
Yeah.
Was there one motherfucking day when Larry Allen weighed anything close to 324?
Maybe when he was in 14, if he was in the fourth grade or some shit. Like, he was like 480 pounds.
That's what I'm saying. And he was the fastest motherfucker you have ever seen.
Larry Allen, I swear to God, he was a mountain on the line. And he could move from the right to the left in half a second.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, 324, Larry Allen, 6'5". I'm like, no, that ain't. I must have the wrong Larry Allen.
Right.
No, and I'm like, dude, what is this, like boxing, like UFC weigh-ins?
I don't know what that is.
Like
he was 400 pounds easy.
No,
easy.
Like by Sunday he had to be 460, 470.
God, he was huge.
Like the man literally looked like he went to a restaurant, locked the front door, ate everything they had. And then played the best football you've ever seen.
Like, dude, remember Leon led on defense?
Oh, my God.
The Cowboy, okay, yes, Troy Aikman had a lot of help for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, winning all the Super Bowls. But the truth is, he was the most accurate pocket passer, perhaps in the history of the league of the National Football League.
Yeah.
And he was the greatest leader.
Yes.
Because he would tell his line, hey, it's okay if they hit me.
Right.
But they cannot stop my running back.
Right.
let Emmett go.
Right.
Because he's the one that's going to carry his. Like, what other quarterback is going to sacrifice his body for that?
There has never been a team like that. And I love the game.
By the way,
I love the game.
Just an aside to me, I fucking hated the Cowboys.
Oh, sure.
I hated those motherfuckers with a passion.
Yes.
And I still don't really like them, but I can tolerate them today. But that Super Bowl run, that was the worst time of my life for football. I hated that shit.
Yeah.
I was 49ers the whole time.
And I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't completely bad, but it was bad.
No, it was bad. I mean, you did some things, and I understand why, and I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
You had the most charismatic quarterback for the 49ers, and you also had literally the smoothest human being on the planet wearing number 80.
Yeah.
And we haven't even, Jerry Rice, in case some of y'all don't know what sex appeal looks like on a football field. That man was the blues, he was the jazz, he was the motherfucking saint.
Watching Jerry Rice play was like watching a panther, like in the open field, like chase down a gazelle or something. It's just poetry.
Right. And then at the same time, you go to the opposite side, and you got motherfucking Ken Norton Jr.
Ken Norton is on he's in the wheel position, and you got Ronnie fucking Lott in the secondary.
Yes. You got the Bash brothers lined up to destroy anything except the Dallas Cowboys. Who had arguably, again, the whole package. But can we talk for just 10 seconds about that? Those were the days of Deion Sanders and his do-rag.
That is true.
Like, the man literally made an interception and so quickly jumped out of ahead of everybody that he fucking high-stepped 40 yards.
Into the end zone.
And, I mean...
And there was nothing I could do about it.
No. They couldn't even get close. They couldn't do... He had so much swagger. They would literally look over there. The quarterback would literally look over there, see Deion, and shift his whole body to the opposite side of the field. Like, I'm just not going that way.
Not going to look at him. Not going to look at the side of the field.
Everybody knows I'm going the other way now. Like, I don't have any choice. He's over there. And so, what am I going to do?
And so they couldn't get him touches. They couldn't get him in my third side of the field, so they just put him back on kickoff returns.
Right.
And he just blazed off on kickoff returns.
And do you remember those Monday Night Footballs where they panned to him waiting back there with just the biggest smile on his face? Like, thank you, Jesus, I'm alive.
Yes. I don't think anybody enjoyed being a sports star more than Deion Sanders.
No.
Like, this is also the same time when fucking basketball.
Oh man,
Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley comes out and he goes,
Nash.
I'm not a role model.
Right.
You know, I'm not here to raise your. He's like saying all that shit. Dion was like, I'm a fucking role model. Be like me.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want to be like Mike. Be like Dion.
Right. Right.
Like that made me happy.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Like as a little kid growing up, I'm like, there is some dude out there that understands me.
Yeah. Like people are talking like, hey, football's on this weekend. Like, is primetime playing? No. All right, I ain't watching.
I ain't watching this shit.
But you hit a nerve with me because one of the few times my parents would rent a television. We didn't have a television in the house, but you could rent one.
Right.
You go to Save-A-Lot over on the north side of Lufkin.
Right.
And you could rent you a television for the weekend.
Yep.
So you could pick it up Friday, you pick up the television, you put it in your car, and you bring it back on Monday.
Yep.
Okay. So this was back when Akeem Olajuwon.
Oh, the Rockets.
Was playing for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. Those were good years for Houston.
Clyde Drexler.
Clyde the Glide Drexler.
I mean, see, I'm not talking about nostalgia here.
No.
Because I don't think if you were born in the 60s, you would talk this way about the 80s.
Right.
Who gave a flying fuck about the Houston Rockets in the 80s?
Nobody.
The Houston Astros in the 80s?
Nobody.
The Dallas Cowboys in the 80s?
Nobody. Nobody.
Exactly.
Like, oh, okay, so Tony Dorsett was still playing for a little bit in there, but like other than that, you had nothing going on, guys, and you
No.
know it.
Yeah, and it wasn't one team.
Jerry
it was
Glanville,
no teams.
fuck that dude.
Right.
Yeah, it was like, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was like every sports team was like that though.
Right.
Like it was like the best thing that happened in the '80s, sports wise, was the Chicago Bears. You know, when McMahon was playing, like the Jim McMahon Super Bowl run that they made, that was like the best thing that happened in sports. It was like, and they made a fucking rap video and all the shit about it because it was just nothing was going on.
When my phone comes back up, I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't recall any of what you're talking about right now because it was just a bad time. It was the '80s, man.
Like I said, I don't even who. There was a team in Chicago back then. No, man. Look up the '85 Bears.
Right. Okay. Well, Jim McMahon sounds like the first pastor over at United Tabernacle Church of the Who Gives a Fuck on.
Dude,
3rd
he was
Street.
the first. He would put on. He wore Ray-Bans on the field.
Oh
The
man,
football.
I remember Ray-Bans. That was a good branding campaign right there.
Yeah, one of the best. They had a better campaign manager than the fucking samurai sword. It was
Okay, so we haven't made it past 95. We're going to take a quick break,
Right.
and then we'll be back to continue our little stroll down memory lane.
Doesn't matter if you're cooler.
And we're back.
All right, so I got my phone. Here now. I think we're saying all this to get to the point that that we had good times. Okay, like we honestly did. It was a good time in the '90s when we were really growing up. There was hope. There was a look to the future. Like we had just came from that decade where the decade of excess. You know, where it's like everybody, we're the city on the hill, and then from that excess, we realized it was all a cocaine-fueled fever dream.
Okay.
And so the hope died because,
This is for CIO No Pain, by the way.
yeah, just make sure that he understands that we don't care about background noise at all. I was gonna hold on just a second. Hear that crunch. Get right in the mic. There you go. That's good.
You know I've always wanted to do that since that Lil Wayne Birdman track.
I've thought about it several times. Every time I come to this mic, I've thought about doing that, and or do the George Carlin thing, or just drink really loud into the mic. But anyway, so it's to say that we had a rough period right at like 88 to 92, where things did not look good, and then suddenly, you get to 93, and things are just looking great. They're looking fantastic. Bill Clinton is in the White House. Bill Clinton is working so hard in the White House. He doesn't have time to get regular blowjobs from regular chicks. He's got to get these fucking quickie jobs from the chick he can find really fast.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Well, and what year are you talking about?
We're going into 93, 94, 95, 96, 97.
Okay, so I was still in my conservative era.
Oh, okay.
And when I say conservative era, I mean super conservative era. Like I had a tie and everything.
Right. Yeah. Like if back then, if you see pictures of Ben in the mid '90s, it is some scary ass shit.
Yeah, I look like a Jehovah's Witness.
For real, like the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, which is not what my people are about. But anyhow,
You're like, this guy. Not only does he not jack off, he's never going to touch his dick ever.
right. Well, I was trying very hard to avoid it because of Jesus.
Right.
So
Doing that baby Jesus cry.
Right. The funny thing about that the thing you just mentioned, though, is even in my conservative era, I was confused. Like, the first time they brought up Clinton and his...
Dalliance with Lewinsky.
Sure. I kind of looked around, like, at the people in my circle, and I was like, hang on, are we talking about this? And they were like, yeah, oh, yeah, he did it. It was bad. And I was like, but he...
Doesn't he run the country?
I thought the person in charge of the free world, like, Didn't Solomon in the Bible have like 1,000?
Right.
Like, and like 200 of them were dudes. Like that's straight out the Bible.
Said this guy Solomon was working so hard he couldn't just fuck chicks.
No, right,
He had to like said, okay, this one's close enough. Grab him.
right. Like I thought if you ran the free world, that went with it.
Like honestly, I believe to that point it did. It was because I mean look back at fucking like Eisenhower, not Eisenhower. Fucking FDR had like a live-in.
Right.
Didn't he have am I right? Federal
I don't know.
Delano Roosevelt didn't he have like a.
No one likes him anyway. I don't think.
Well, I thought they loved him, but JFK he like fucked he's fucking Marilyn Monroe. She's singing to him on his birthday and shit. And then you get to Bill Clinton. All of a sudden, he literally gets a quickie blowjob that he can't even clean up properly. He's like, okay, I'm on the phone with this. Hold on, okay. Not gonna be able to work because he's trying to bring our country from what we were.
Right.
Remember, we're coming off of this age of excess that was not excess at all. We just spent all of our goddamn money.
Right.
And so now he's got to get the fucking money for us.
Right.
So
And-
he's chasing the bag for at least 4 years.
Well, and also during this time, his vice president keeps taking credit for inventing something
That he had a peripheral
that he had
connection to.
Well, in the same way that I have a peripheral connection to these potato chips. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do with the creation of these, so I'm eating them.
Like honestly, he could have just stuck to mooch off his wife and
Well, I
it would've been much better.
probably would have respected him more if he had just stayed on the whole ozone thing.
Which made sense at the time. By the way, that's something that these kids don't even know about. There used to be a hole in the ozone layer. Did you guys know that? Mm-hmm. There was a fucking hole in the ozone layer, and the solar radiation coming through is going to kill us all. Turns out there was no hole in the ozone layer. It's the reason why we get so much pushback on climate change when people talk about climate change. Is because remember the hole in the ozone layer that wasn't there? So yeah, a lot of people fucked up about that. They were just talking out their ass. But back to Clinton, he was honestly trying to do something impossible, which was give America all of its money back. And the crazy fucking thing is, he did it. He fucking did it. So the first 4 years of Bill Clinton's presidency, his entire first presidency is just him doing the impossible. Getting the country not credit, but actual cash. And the next 4 years is just a meteoric rise to the top of everything.
Right.
The internet is not what it's supposed to be yet, but it's getting there very quickly. And Bill Clinton, to make sure the United States is at the top of that list.
Right. Well, but if he had not broken biblical laws, I would care about what you just said.
Right.
So we weren't.
Unfortunately, he did get that blowjob.
Right.
And so that means he's a piece of shit. And to be fair, to be completely fair to all of my friends who don't like Bill Clinton, he is a piece of shit.
Well, and also to be fair to the president that went before him, and I know this may come as a surprise, Bush Sr. wasn't terrible as far as capitalism goes.
He was actually good at his job.
Yes, he wasn't terribly entertaining.
He was not an entertainer at
No.
all. He wasn't smooth at all.
No, he was a Texas oil man.
And his vice president was a millstone around his neck for the entire 4 years.
Yeah, I'm still not sure where they found that guy.
Like, dude, it seemed like they found him on the side of the road. He's like, hey, man, you want to be vice president? He's like, yeah, we got him.
I bet they met it at Denny's. Doesn't Quayle seem like the kind of guy you would meet at Denny's?
He does, like over in the corner. It said, that
Yeah.
guy's just staring at that ball of ketchup like it's talking to him.
Right, and so you go over there and you're like, hey, man, can I buy you something? And he's like, oh, no, I got it. By the way, I got yours. My name's Dan Quayle. And you're like, oh, shit, he got me.
Oh, that was a trap.
So,
No, but yeah.
okay, so what? Okay, so So we got all these jobs, and we got all this entertainment, and we got the greatest sports time in the history of the world.
The music is on point in the 90s too, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. Everything is expanding. So, what happened next?
The weird thing that happened next is we were in a state, it was sort of innocent because we honestly believed that our technology, the information revolution, and I wrote like term papers on this shit. Like the information revolution was going to just, we're mapping the human genome. All the information is going to be known, and we're going to use all the information to make our lives much, much, much better. We're going to live longer. We're going to have procreative sex when we want to, and non-procreative sex when we don't want to. We're going to there's not going to be any racism. There's not going to be any sexism. We're going to close that pay gap. We're going to close the
95, 96, moving into 97. Dude, you could get a job anywhere.
Yeah,
like you go 2 doors down from your house and you'd have 3 jobs.
And the jobs were paying extreme amounts of money. Like I remember my first job out of high school was at a local government office called the Deep East Texas Council of Governments downtown. I worked that job my first summer when I was 18 years old and headed to college the next year. In my bank account at the end of that summer was almost $6,000. I was just a kid, guys. Like I had more money in my bank account right then than I bet everybody's parents at that time. And I just took all of that cash with me to Washington, D.C. and blew it straight up a bat's ass on liquor and women like I was supposed to at that time. And then the next summer, I went back to the DPS Council Governments and did it all over again. And this time I came back with like $9,000.
Yeah.
It was just that time period. It was like we were printing money. You know, secretaries were making $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
Janitors making $50,000 a year. It was something retarded.
Right.
You knew if you were paying attention that it was all going to happen the same way it did before.
Right.
It was an illusion.
Okay, but to an extent, did it all start to turn with Y2K?
I don't think it turned with Y2K. I think it turned when we survived Y2K without any, because everyone believed that the computers were the ones that were controlling everything. And when it turns out that the computers still weren't as smart as we thought they were, people started to actually look to do their own thinking again. And that's when things went south. Because when people started doing their own thinking, they started doing what's called the price-earnings ratio and looking at how much stuff on the internet was earning versus how much money was sunk into it. And then everybody panicked. And then things started going haywire right away. Because what happens immediately after that? Immediately after that is the banks start this whole credit swap thing that would eventually destroy the economy 10 years later. You know, it was like, it was like everything started going wrong immediately when people realized that the technology hadn't actually advanced as far as we thought it had. And once that illusion was broken, it was really hard to get back because it felt like it was the second time we had done it.
Okay.
You know, and I think that a lot of reaction to that, like if you're talking about somebody that was born right at that period, the first thing that they were told, like after, like, and let's not shortchange September 11th role in this, where the first thing they were told is your leaders don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And that's the first thing that they were told, is that your leaders are very, very incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. You can't trust them. And, oh, by the way, that includes your parents. And so these kids had nothing to rely on at all, which was not me. I had church, I had community, I had my parents, I had my government.
We're going to go live on Instagram on Tattooed with Children real quick.
Okay.
We got a blurry picture of my face. It's going to be
all
great.
Right, yeah, that's fantastic.
Continue.
So like I had everything to fly. I was in public school and I was killing public school. I felt like I could trust the things that were going on around me. These kids now, they're growing up in 2000, like they were told specifically not to trust anybody. Not trust anybody, anything, don't trust any institutions. Everyone is racist. Everyone's either a feminazi or they are a misogynist. You know, like there aren't any male chauvinist pig or feminazi. There's nothing in the middle.
Right.
And as a result, we started to the people right above them, which was us. Mm-hmm. So like they're a little bit behind us, we're a little bit ahead of them. We started trying to build them up. We started like no one did this for me. Let me do this for you.
Right.
And but we didn't know how to do it though.
Was that because though of how much? Was that because of how much excess we went through in the 90s?
Yes, it was. I mean, I really think it's because it was like, guys, you don't understand, the world's a beautiful place. You know, like I've seen it. I've seen the beauty of the world. Like you can live a life of relaxation if you just do certain things, or if you like one of the big things we glommed onto was meditation, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, you can just meditate, just slow your mind down, and all these things. And the kids are like, but what about the terrorists? And I'm like, man, the terrorists they're not real. Like we said all sorts of shit. Like there's what about the school shootings? That's just one time. Well, 2 times. Well, 3 times. Dude, now it's fucking 30 times a week. It's something ridiculous. How many mass shootings we got? Like, we had no idea how bad it was going to get. And I really don't think that we have done. And I'm pointing the fingers at myself. All right? I'm pointing the fingers at myself, and I'm pointing the fingers at Ben and all of us, because I really don't think that we have made these children hardy enough to handle these challenges without a bad reaction. Like I'm, you know, like if they don't have the support of opiates, they don't know how to handle.
Yeah.
You know, like I was talking before this podcast started, I was talking about, Machine Gun Kelly, the rapper who beefed with Eminem.
Right.
And Eminem's response, once he figured out who the fuck Machine Gun Kelly was,
sure,
his response was to put him on. He actually, he reached out and responded. Machine Gun Kelly hit him with a diss track. He responded with a diss track, which is the best way to get somebody attention. And so he, expanded his career.
Yeah.
And I just saw Machine Gun Kelly's latest album.
Yeah.
And some tracks of it, some video off of that. I think he may commit suicide before the end of this year.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope not.
I hope he doesn't. I'm not wishing anything bad on Machine Gun Kelly. I like him. I think he's a very talented rapper. I hope he does great things in the future. But he's depressed.
Right.
He honestly is he almost went so far as to say, if it wasn't for my fans prepping me up, I would have already killed myself. You know, that's the only. So I'm dedicated to being a happier person now because you guys want me to be happy. But he doesn't feel it, you know. And I don't know Machine Gun Kelly, but I think it's my fault. You know, I think I used the internet to create a culture in which say, well, I can do anything. Yeah, you can, but don't look too closely at it. Because the kids know they can't actually do anything. But I was like, no, you could be, I've said this many times, you can be anything you want to be, anything you set your mind to. The kids are like, that's not true. Like, no, I remember when I was a kid and I could be anything I wanted to be. They say, yeah, well, I don't remember that, you know?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, I'm still eating these potato chips. Okay, so weird thing. I'm going to slide off you for a second. No one is up right now.
No one's awake right now?
No, do we not stay up till 1 a.m. anymore?
I don't think. No, actually, they don't. Like if I were to post, if I were to post an IG at let's say 8 o'clock, I'd probably have 15 to 20 likes or shares or whatnot by 10. If I post right now, I won't get anything until morning.
Now, is that true between Instagram and Facebook?
I don't know anything about Facebook. I don't fucking do Facebook anymore. I really don't.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember that.
I drop in on Facebook to like a lot of times my wife is on Facebook and she will like message me something, like a screenshot or message me something.
Yeah.
And I'll go on to it just long enough to get that information.
Yeah.
And then I dip out so quick.
Do you need to check your phone? You got a message. Was it important?
I severely doubt it was important. I can check it from my watch.
Well, that's fine.
See, this is, that's how far ahead we are right now in technology, that my phone is on the table right now. I ain't got to fucking look at that thing, know what it's doing. I can look at my watch, and my watch tells me what my phone is doing. So, like, the promise of the technology was true. Like, we were told it would be awesome. It is awesome. It just didn't fix anything, guys. Yeah. It didn't fix a fucking thing, and we didn't tell these kids it wasn't going to fix anything. We just kept telling them, look how fucking amazing this is. This is incredible. If I'd had this back in the 90s, I could have done X, Y, and Z. They say, why the fuck didn't you do it? These are reasons.
Yeah.
Like, how can a kid be happy when you told them that? Anyway. I'm getting so hyped I'm losing track of my words. My whole point is that if we're going to put it on these kids that it's their world, we at least have to acknowledge our part in their upbringing. And I think that we owe them a little bit more than we've given them. Maybe that's what this podcast is really about. Trying to say, guys, you still have questions. Some of you guys are right now in your late 20s, and you are ad executives. You're advertising executives, and you're working for a client. That client is shitting on you every day, and he won't accept your ideas. And my response to that can't be quit your job. My response to that can't be increase your hustle on the side or something like that. It's the truth is, what you're going to have to do is work harder at that than you do anything else until you get your head above water, and then you can move to something that you like. But it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be ugly. You're going to have to thicken your skin.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, not all of us are going to make it big on TikTok. The internet isn't really going to save your life. It's not going to make you rich. It's just another avenue for the same thing that I was going through in the late 90s, 2000s, and so forth. It's not easier today to open up a restaurant than it was in the mid-2000s when we had a restaurant boom bust.
What's interesting, though? I do think, I was talking about this to somebody this morning. I do think it is fascinating, though, that while it might not be easier to open a restaurant, it is a really good time.
Yes. I agree.
It is a really, really good time to open a restaurant, because we're in the era, if you will, of restaurants dying.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I went to Olive Garden the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was like the worst experience of my life.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And it kind of blew my mind.
Because
Like-
Olive Garden used to be great.
Yeah, Olive Garden used to be amazing.
Yeah.
And like everything was overdone and the service was pretty awful. And I'm pretty sure the chef I saw the chef, I met him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure he had just gotten off a shift at Burger King. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, that's a pretty amazing thing to say.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible to say that about a national chain and a restaurant that has been in this town for a very long time.
Right, in 2019.
In 2019, you cannot get great food at any chain restaurants
No.
in my town, and my town is known for its chain restaurants.
Right, we have like 45,000 people in this town. We have another 200,000 in the surrounding counties. We're the county seat. We're a big fucking deal.
We are.
And you
You
want,
can't get a decent meal just coming up. If you've seen the restaurant on a commercial and stop at that restaurant in Lufkin, it's probably not that good.
right. Yeah.
So it's definitely a great time to open up a restaurant. The only problem is you have to understand, and I keep saying children, but the last child I had this conversation with was 65 years old.
Right.
You have to have the idea in your head that you're doing this because this is what you want to do and for no other reasons. Profit can't be your motivation. If your motivation is profit, you're not going to make it 6 months.
No, absolutely not. Interesting side note. I just Facebook lived
Yeah.
because there's a lot more people on Facebook right now. Some 400 people in my group on Facebook, and I didn't see anybody on Instagram.
Interesting.
So I live streamed on both of them for 3 minutes each
Okay.
and got no one.
Okay.
That's fascinating.
Okay.
Like, I actually like that feedback. Like, that's very, very good.
And I really, guys, we should not be recording in the middle of the night anyway. Like this is something that I don't like to do anyway.
Well, sure.
Is record. Like I really want these in the middle of the day.
They seem to be better.
Circumstances have dictated that we record in the middle of the night. So I think we should try this again at 12 noon instead of 12 midnight.
Yeah, I definitely think, because I definitely think people would like to see this.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it should stop from what we're doing here.
No, I think that we're both have a big enough ego that we can be in a room full of people and still do the same thing.
Yeah. So, and that brings us to an interesting point about this podcast, because I've been thinking about a lot about this. The fact that what this is really making me question, and this goes back a little bit to your point, but I've been really, this podcast is having a strange effect on me. I'm starting to act differently since we've started making it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that me and you were jumping back here into the disservice that you feel you did Machine Gun Kelly, in the sense that he was born after you and has less understanding of the way the world is.
Right.
But also in our attempts to, until now, place blame on the generation that went before us.
Right.
I think recording our voices is having a very interesting impact on my day-to-day interactions. I'm starting to see almost every conversation I have is going on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I know you don't fuck with Facebook, but like,
I don't fuck with Facebook, but I do fuck with other points of social media, and I feel what you're feeling. It's like everything I say to people right now, I expect to be called on it.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I wonder if that's not what everyone else is feeling, but the adversity of it, in the sense of no one feels listened to right now.
Okay.
Okay, so like, in other words, so let's just use our friends at Loud House CrossFit,
Okay.
Jason and Amanda. Okay?
Right.
I love those guys.
Shout out Loud House CrossFit. They are they're a great local company here. They do they're a gym, but they're the CrossFit style.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for a while, for a long time, and you get great results.
I've met a lot of people that go to Loud House. I've met a lot of people that used to go to Loud House and don't go anymore. I don't know what the controversy is all about, and quite frankly, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
They've got a dope new building.
They do.
They're right there across from the courthouse on Frank Street. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you drive down Frank, like when you're on your way to work, and you drive by, first, if you turned on First, you go to Standpipe.
Right.
You keep going straight. Right when you get to the courthouse, look to your left, and there's 3 garage doors there.
Yeah.
And dude, it's fucking dope.
I haven't been inside, but I'm gonna stop by there.
Well, it scares me a little bit just because they work out so hard. I'm
not gonna stay. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to work out and sweat and shit. That's not. That's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like they're gonna get you. They're good people.
If they did get me, I wouldn't feel that guilty. I wouldn't feel that bad about it. I was like, okay, if I have to fucking die, at least I'm among friends.
Yeah, no, I mean they're really good people. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, when Amanda tells you to do something, you kind of look out.
All right.
I feel like you're gonna walk in there and you're gonna be like, "Hey guys, what's up? It's Flavor Ray," and she's gonna be like, "Hit those weights."
Like, oh shit, okay.
Right.
Grab that rope thing. Okay.
Right. And then your boss is going to call you and be like, "Hey, man, why aren't you at work yet?" And you're like, "This lady's yelling at me. She told me to work out."
I'm busy.
Okay, but let's just use them. Okay. So 2 average friends of ours, acquaintances, people we know in the community.
Right.
So I wonder if they would say, "Hey, man, what if I followed you around with a camera and I put everything you do on Facebook today?"
Uh-huh.
I think it would feel weird.
It would feel weird for just a little bit, though.
For about a day or 2.
Yeah. And then it wouldn't feel weird at all.
All right, guys. On that note, I just had a new business idea, so we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to go talk to Flavor Ray off mic, and then we'll come back. All right.
I carry the club like Neanderthal. The choir got everybody dancing, dog. Yell on that X, I'm a sentinel, standing tall. No time to stand still, please don't meander.
All right, so in the great tradition of show business, we're going to just leave you wanting more here. We're going to talk about this business idea, flesh it out, and then bring it to you packaged and ready for consumption on the next podcast. I am Flavor Ray, and this is Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Instagram at Tattoo with Children, or on Facebook at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Twitter at Tattooed With, because Ben,
Jack sucks.
That's him. And you can find me on Instagram at Madara Shadow, and you can find me on Twitter at Hunter Vanguard, all one word, Hunter Vanguard. You can find Ben at Black Crow Brother and at Black Spot Tattoo Company. I fuck that up every other podcast. It's a company that the name I made myself. I can't fucking say it on the air.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I mean, you were working with me hand in hand in the beginning, and then you were an investor, and we've done so much. I think we both fucking hate all the names of all our companies.
It's a thing with us. All right, and I think that's about it. Time for smoke?
Sounds good.
All right. Love you guys.
Peace.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations. They're important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the tour is a normal placement.